Welcome to the ultimate guide to watch and learn from grappling instructional videos. My name is Björn Friedrich and I'm very happy to be here today to share with you my thoughts on how to learn and how to pick the right instructional videos. I started my jiu-jitsu 27 years ago in Germany and I had no instructor, so my first source of training, my source of instruction was video, not DVDs but cassettes at that time. And I remember we got these old bootlegged tapes with this grainy footage and we were craving it for every technique we could get about jiu-jitsu, about Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so for me, learning from videos was always something very important. And still today I love watching videos and instructionals and learn from different teachers. I have made a three-part series. Part 1 will explain how white belts should pick and learn from instructional videos. Part 2 will cover blue and purple belts, intermediate level of jiu-jitsu, how these guys and girls should pick their right instructional tapes. And part 3 will be for brown belts and higher, so how you can learn from instructionals when you're already an accomplished grappler. So let's start with part number 1, which is the right videos, the right picking, the right training with videos as a white belt, as a beginner. What you should focus on, what you should do. Okay, let's start right now. First of all, I would say the most important thing is, I know grappling is a beautiful sport and I know there are thousands of videos out there, especially in these days. But I would say stay with the basics, especially as a beginner. Don't look for all the fancy stuff. Don't look for all the crazy stuff, for the stuff that looks very good on the highlight reel. I know this stuff is fascinating and amazing, but in the beginning you should stick with the basics. My option is get a good tape, a good video series with basics. I would pick one instructor. Don't mix it up. Don't buy 3 or 4 instructors and mix everything together. That's something you can do later, but as a beginner, it's just confusing. Get one good instructor and from this guy, buy the videos, I would say. What I mean by basics is very simple. Learn escapes, learn control, learn guard passing, learn the basic submissions. These 4 aspects of the game are very important and lay the foundation of anything else you want to do later. So, like I said, get videos that are focused on the basics, learn escapes from the most important positions, learn submissions from the most important positions, and learn how to control the most important positions. Imagine, as a white belt, you are a guy who is trying to draw a map, you know, and the map is completely empty. And what you do is you are painting the big cities, you know, city here, city there. The big cities is, you know, you put on the map. And what you do then as a white belt is you make the highways. In Germany we call it Autobahns. The big Autobahns between the cities, you know, the biggest connections between the cities. That's what you do as a white belt. Try to understand what are the most important stuff. Your mount escapes, your mount control, your side mount escapes, your side mount control, your guard passing, your guard control, your basic arm bars, triangles, you know, all that basic stuff. That's something you should focus on in the beginning, and you should focus on very technically. So I know there are many good fighters who have videos, but I would say focus on people who are really technical, you know, because some guys are just genetic freaks and they show you stuff they can do, but that doesn't mean that you can do it. I remember one video in the, I would say, early 2000s, very famous, very successful MMA fighter, and he showed the Kimura from the guard. And the guy was a physical freak, you know, and what he was doing was just grabbing the arm and ripping the arm out. No hip movement, just ripping the arm out. And you know, the guy is really strong and he can get away with that. But that doesn't mean that this is the right way to do for a beginner. you know, the most technical way. That's why I say look for really good teachers, for people who break it down technically. That's an important thing, you know. Not for the fastest guy, not for the most flexible guy. Look for the guy who really understands the techniques, who really understands how to break it down and give you a good foundation. That is the most important stuff. Now, how to train. I would say in the beginning, when you get your new video, watch it completely. I know you're curious, I know you want to know what's on this video, so don't hesitate, watch it once complete. So you're satisfied, you know what's on the video, and you're happy. That's the first step. And then after watching it once complete, start working it. And by working it, I mean focus on, I would say, 3 to 5 techniques a week. I mean, this depends on how much time you use for training. If you train 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, obviously you can do more. But if you are a person who is training twice a week or maybe 3 times a week, you know, then I think 3 to 5 techniques as a beginner are enough. I mean, think about it. If you spend 10 minutes, you know, on one technique, that means 50 minutes on 5 techniques. Your partner has to do the same, so it means 100 minutes. 100 minutes, only technique. Usually that's, you know, for most people it's a lot to train 100 minutes a day, only technique. Usually you do sparring and all that stuff. But you see, so 5 techniques is absolutely enough. Then I would say, don't do 2 side mount escapes, 2 back mount escapes, 1 armbar. Focus on the techniques for one position. That means if you are focused on mount escapes, then pick 5 mount escapes, 5 follow-ups or whatever, you know, and work on these 5 techniques. And when you are in the next week, do the same. Work on one topic until you have finished the topic. Let's say you buy a series about escapes, you know, and there are, for example, 4 different positions you can escape from. Start with position 1, work all the techniques until you have finished it, and then go to the next position, to the next position, to the next position. Don't mix it up. Don't mix different techniques from different positions or different aspects of Jiu-Jitsu. It's too confusing in the beginning. I know it's boring, but it's important to do so because you want to really learn and ingrain that stuff, not just in your body, but also in your brain. So it's good to focus on something connected. That's a very important point. Also, what is important is, especially for beginners, don't be creative. I know it's tempting, but in the beginning, just do it the way the teacher on the video is showing you. That is, you know, trust the guy, you have spent your money for the guy, trust the guy, let him do the work, let him explain what to do, watch it 5 times, 10 times, whatever, but do it like the guy is showing it to you. Don't play around, don't create some new moves. That's not a good idea as a white belt. That's a very important point. The next thing is how you take the techniques from the video on the mat. You know, I'm from a time where we don't even have cell phones in the beginning, and yet alone smartphones. So we do not have the luxury of watching videos in the gym while training. So for me, it was always very, very good to write down things. You know, watching it and then writing it down. When you write it down, you have to focus on what is going on in the video. You have to say, oh, the left arm is doing this, the right arm is doing this, the body is doing this. So you have a much better focus on what is really going on when you write things down as if you just watch it. So I would suggest, if you have the time and the patience, write things down. Write down how the technique is working. That would be really, really good. You know, and then of course, don't be stupid. Put it on your smartphone, take it to the gym and watch it also in the gym. You know, there's no need in denying modern technology, you know, but I would say write it down, put it on video, go to the gym and then train. That's something I feel is very, very important. Another thing is, especially as a white belt, don't expect that the thing you train today works in sparring immediately, especially against the guy who is at the same level like you. You know, this is really not the way it is going. You know, it takes time. Some things take longer, some things go faster, but be patient and don't get crazy when things don't work immediately after drilling them. Remember, if you train with your friend or with your training partner, he's doing the same thing. You know, he knows what you want to do. So, of course, it's easier for him to shut it down, you know. So be patient when you train, don't go crazy. I suggest even to not always going 100%, you know, always sometimes playing with the techniques, doing some kind of 50% intensity in rolling, just to be able to execute the techniques to a success level. So that is an important point, you know, focus on the stuff, write it down, watch it and work it step by step, and that's, in my opinion, the most important thing as a white belt. So in short, just get not many tapes, get the important tapes for you, get tapes about the basics, and buy the tapes from one guy. I would suggest that. Or at least, if you buy from different guys, buy from guys in the same line. So maybe from a guy and then from the teacher of the guy or from the student of the guy. That's okay, but don't go totally crazy, you know, and mixing up the instructors. They're all good, they all have their value, but you're, as a white belt, you're not able to understand the differences. So buy stuff from one guy, focus on it, focus on one position at a time. Yeah, one thing I suggest to buy, you know, videos about your strong positions. Let's say you have a good mount escape. I would suggest buy something about the mount escape to make it even better, because it's easier as a beginner to work on positions you're already good in. If you are in a position where you're really bad and you might have really fundamental errors in your game, then it's really hard to learn to correct all these errors from a video series. So focus on the strong points as a beginner. I believe it's much easier to gain from videos on your strength than if you buy videos on your weaknesses, especially as a beginner. Later on, that is different. So that is my short video about what a white belt should be focused on when he buys videos and how you should train when you have the video. I hope this helps you, and see you in part 2 where I'm talking about blue belts and purple belts.